Kia ora, g'day, welcome back here with another Q&A response to this little series that's going on here. So let's jump into this. This again is from the man himself over in the UK, Solly. So he's got here, to what extent does, so this is a comment that he's put in on the SAS selection Q&A follow-up number 2. And this is the question that he's got. To what extent does the Australian/NZSAS PNG, so persona non grata, ex-members who publicly say they're ex-SAS and talk about deployments? To what extent? I have no idea. I have not come across or heard of, I can't think of the names of any operators in either NZ or Australia that have been banned, or whatever persona non grata means, like banned from the unit or banned from reunions or whatever, banned from memorial services, whatever the persona non grata means to those organisations or to UKSF. Like, if that's what it means, I personally don't know of any in Australia or New Zealand that have been told, nah, don't, you're banned, you can't come back here. Like, maybe that is the case. Maybe there are people that have been banned and have had that, I guess, communication or notice given to them. But I personally don't know anyone that has. If I've been PNG'd and I get notified about it, I would say. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like, and like, yeah, okay, so I'm banned. Like, it's not like camp is just down the road and I'm going to go, and it's not like I was going in and out of camp when I was out anyway, So there was for a period of time when I initially got out, but yeah, like, I haven't been into camp or anything like that over in Perth for blank years and years. So yeah, I don't feel like I'm missing anything by not going there. So if I was PNG'd and whatever the process is, I don't know what their processes are. So that's that's my take to your first part. Do guys have to sign confidentiality contracts to join them like you do for UKSF? I've been asked that question before. I think it might have been more to do with when I got out. I don't recall signing any confidentiality NDA or anything like that prior to going into the unit and or when I left. Obviously, you go through security clearance vettings to get to certain levels, and I'm pretty sure my security clearance was only ever to secret. I'm pretty sure mine was only ever to secret, because there wasn't a need at that time as a trooper for me to have anything higher at that stage, from what I'm aware of anyway, from what I recall. But guys that were corporals, sergeants, etc. and above, well, then they'd need to go through the process and get clearance to top secret. That's at least what I recall from during my time. It may be different now. There may be guys that are troopers that, or maybe just everyone has to be cleared to top secret, whatever. But yeah, confidentiality contracts, I think if I had one, I'd still have a copy of it, I reckon. And I'd like to think I would remember signing and being presented with an NDA or confidentiality agreement or contract prior to joining and or once leaving or getting out. I think a lot of it, again, for NZ and Australia, and I had assumed UK, but clearly not. I think there's just probably maybe just that generation, or maybe it's still like that now, I don't know. I think there's probably just an understanding or an expectation that guys that go and serve in that unit are, they're probably still not going to go run around and broadcast or start a YouTube channel like what I've got here. or go around and be interviewed about a number of things. But I think also a number of the guys that have been on a heck of a bunch more operations and deployments, where a lot of that stuff has been, I suppose, out in the public domain and sector. I don't see anything wrong with those guys talking about that stuff, especially if it's stuff that they've been involved in and it's already in the public domain, so to speak. Like, why PNG somebody if that's what they've done? Different story if they're, maybe disclosing things that that aren't out in the public domain or whatever. Maybe that's a different conversation. But yeah. Anyway, what else have you got? You've said on the Combat Story podcast at 1 hour 45 minutes and 19 seconds how a general told your SAS unit, as your side didn't have capacity to take POWs, do with POWs as you do with them. Yeah, words to the effect. I don't know if I said it exactly like that, but to clarify, yeah, we had a briefing. US commander at the time, can't remember his name, come in and basically let us know that they didn't have capacity, not us. So you've got, as your side didn't have, not SASR, like we weren't. I don't think we were set up to be coming in and collecting POWs either and taking them back. But if I'd have to go back and have a listen to it. Maybe I'll go back and have a listen to what I said. But what I should have said was, from memory, is that the US didn't have capacity, like they weren't taking POWs. So us calling in and saying we've got 15, 16 people here, they weren't. It wasn't on their list of priorities to go flying in choppers to then bundle up these soldiers to then take them back to the forward operating base and start processing as POWs. That was the understanding anyway from the information that we received. So it wasn't so much that our unit didn't have capacity, although we likely didn't, but more so the Americans weren't looking to grab POWs and bring them back for processing or questioning. And so, yeah, we did have that briefing told to us, like it was essentially up to us what we did with them. And you've got here, appearing to imply executing them was an option. Well, I think, yeah, it could probably be viewed that way. Appearing to imply executing them was an option. I think also, like, for me personally, I can't speak for the rest of the guys, but based on what I saw, we were probably all singing off the same song sheet. That wasn't something in our minds to go in there and, if you've got a force that has surrendered, the next thought wasn't, let's drop these guys now. Even though, like I've shared openly, even though we felt like, and I felt like, we're going to be fighting these guys again. And they're just going to have a much better understanding of the landscape, who we are, how we operate, etc., what capabilities we have, should they choose to engage with us again. Yes, they got spanked that time, but, like most people in organizations and, dare I say, militaries, they typically go away, learn from those experiences, look to get better and come back, better and stronger and all that sort of thing. So we were definitely cognizant of the fact that letting them go, which is what we did, like, man, we are going to be in for a heck of a fight next time we fight this particular group of people. And just that knowledge transfer that they will then quickly look to disseminate will be invaluable to their forces. At the same time, what we don't know, and what I don't know with any sort of level of assurity, is, in as much as that could have happened, maybe they counted their lucky stars and thought, man, these guys could have just executed us out here in this dirt patch and then just driven off and carried on with their job. And nobody would be any of the wiser. No one. So maybe they took that on board and went, this is a sign from Allah or whatever, and went, yeah, we're done, bro. Like, that's us. Let's go back home to our families. Let's enjoy our time with our families, and let's not go and fight those guys again. Maybe, who knows? What have I got here? Appearing to imply executing them was an option. Yeah, I think it was being left up to our own decisions to do with them what we felt we needed to do. But there was, I've spoken about that multiple times, and even on the combat story, there was no executions that took place, at least during my time there, of unarmed or of combatants who had put down their weapons and surrendered. Your unit chose not to, though, when you did capture POWs. So you've got that here. Did anyone ever say you shouldn't have revealed a senior officer suggested executing POWs was an option? No, nobody did. And nobody has, that I'm aware of, has said it to me. Did anyone ever say you shouldn't have revealed? No. And if that's how they feel, too bad. I mean, like, if all I did was state what we were told. Some people might say, probably leave that detail out. Yeah, maybe in hindsight. What have you got here? Were you hesitant to be this candid? I don't know. I think I'd have to go back and watch the interview. I've not watched the interview since I did it with Ryan Fugit, so I couldn't tell you. Did I appear? Probably better off if I ask you, Solly. Did I appear hesitant when I said it? Like, would probably a better way might give you a better indication. I suppose if I seemed hesitant in that interview when I shared that, maybe I was. But as I sit here and read your question, I don't recall feeling or thinking hesitant about saying it. It was just a natural part of whatever we must have been talking about at that time, Ryan and I, or his question, or whatever flow I was in with regards to talking about that particular part of my deployment to Iraq. So, yeah, you would probably be, anybody who watches that segment would probably be a better judge of whether or not I seemed hesitant to be that candid, if that makes sense. What's this? Have you known ex-Australian / NZSAS members getting criticism for how they act publicly after leaving? Good question. Have you known ex-Australian NZSAS members getting criticism for how they act publicly after leaving? Just trying to think. Nick Cordwell, Ryan Wilson, Green, Bill Bestick, Phil Hookyounga, NZ. Not that nobody comes to mind, Solly. Like, even myself, like, have you been criticism for how they act publicly after leaving? I haven't. Don't get me wrong. There may be people out there publicly criticising me and or some of the others that I know and or indeed have had the privilege to interview and stuff in the past. But if there is, I don't know about it. Like, it's not landing in my inbox, if that makes sense. And or people haven't sent me links to go, oh, check out this guy. He's calling you this and that. Actually, probably the only person is that Spears Brad guy from Instagram. So he's probably the only one that has had any sort of criticism of what seems to be criticisms of ex-SAS soldiers or maybe military personnel in general. So aside from him, yeah, Spears Brad on Instagram, aside from him, I can't think of anybody else, or I'm at least not aware. And even then, you know what? I likely wouldn't have been aware of Spears Brad saying anything negative about me if people hadn't messaged me on Instagram and said, "Hey, check out this guy. Do you know this guy?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, he's tried to message me before, but I just ignored it." So, yeah, uh, I'm sure there are. Maybe there are people out there criticizing people like me and or others for, what do you say, how I publicly act after leaving. Maybe there is. Um, Good on them. And then you've got here, for example, you've been quite critical of ex-Australian SAS officer Andrew Hastie. Have other guys also been critical of him? I think there are other guys that are critical of him, but there's also other guys that are not critical of him. As an example, Harry Moffat, ex-Australian SAS guy, who's a gentleman who I consider a friend and I have an immense amount of respect for. He speaks highly of Andrew Hastie, from what I understand. He's did a post and said words to the effect of that he is one of the most honourable leaders, I think, words to that effect anyway, that he had ever served with. So clearly there's people that speak highly of Andrew Hastie that have served with him, which isn't surprising. And it's like with anything. There's people that like people and don't like people, people that like me that don't like me, or that hate me, whatever. I can't do anything about that. Andrew Hastie, in terms of have other guys also been critical of him? Yes, there have been other people, other operators, and I think Harry Moffat and one of the other guys on Instagram, I won't mention his name, they've had a bit of a back and forth over their disagreement in regards to some of their stuff and in regards to Andrew Hastie. So, like I said, there'll be people within their units or organizations, no matter what it is, that see a person a certain way and other people see that person a different way. It's just one of those things. Yes, I have been critical of Andrew Hastie because I think he's a twat. Like, I've made no secret of trying to hide that. I wouldn't make any secret of trying to hide it. I think you asked me, Solly, would I sit down, have a debate, or maybe you said mediate, would I mediate or something like that? I said, I think I'd rather be in the debate rather than trying to mediate it, because I just have lots of questions for that guy, Do I like him? No, I don't. Like, just based on what I've seen. Have I spent any time with him like Harry Moffat has to get to know him, to see what he's like as an operator, as a leader, etc.? No, I haven't done that either. Would I want to do that these days now? No, I wouldn't. Not after the way he's come out and basically, in my opinion, criticized and damaged the reputation and integrity of SASR. Like, why would I want to spend any time with a twat like that to see if he's a good operator? He must have done enough to show that he was able to do the job, and he's deployed to Afghanistan however many times. But yeah, if I was sitting down with him, it would be to ask questions and grill him over his comments, and then, we can have a back and forth conversation. I would have to be more measured in terms of sitting there and giving him time to speak and respond and listen, and at the same time be open to answering questions that he might have of me. Would that ever happen? Like, to be honest, I don't really care. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, I don't care. But yeah, I am critical of Andrew Hastie for a number of reasons. A lot of those to do with what his comments have been in and around SASR in Parliament House, and also his supposed witness in regards to Ben Roberts-Smith, when he didn't witness anything. Like, he didn't witness anything. If anything, to his own admission, what he witnessed was being treated, in his words, like a scumbag by Irish during selection, which that was part of Iris's job. And dare I say, that's part of the majority of directing staff or badged operators' jobs when they're on selection. They're not there to be your mates. All of that adds pressure and adds other elements to an individual's mindset of, do they really want to be there and serve in the regiment, But once you get in there, and you even, if you get through selection, go into cycle, like, it's very, very different in Australia. The culture is different. The camaraderie and the friendships really start to bond and form and bond and gel and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, hopefully I've answered all your questions in there, Solly. It's like, no shortage of questions from you, my friend. Actually, I probably won't even worry about going back and watching the Combat Story podcast. Like I said, I haven't gone and watched it. I did get, actually, to one thing that I will mention, I have had several guys from my squadron that watched my interview on Combat Story with Ryan Fugit. Apologies if I said Sean Ryan. Should have said Ryan Fugit. Ryan Fugit, Combat Story podcast host. So several guys that I served with in one squadron in SASR at the time, who let me know, they reached out and contacted me on Facebook Messenger, and said that I gave a good interview. So, it was nice. They said a few other things as well, but to me, that was reassuring. Like, it was nice to get some of that feedback from, and these are guys that were senior to me, like they were already in the regiment before I got there, but we were part of the same squadron. We deployed into Iraq at the same time. Some of them in different troop to what I was, but we were part of the same squadron. So, that was not everybody, obviously, because I don't know that everybody's seen it. And probably even if they have, they probably couldn't be bothered reaching out. But excuse me, a handful of guys did reach out, sent through those messages, and yeah, I mean, that was nice, but it wasn't expected from me. It was a surprise, and yeah, like I said, it was nice to get those messages from those guys that took the time or felt like just letting me know, saying, "Hey, saw your interview on Combat Story, did a good job, mate, blah, blah, blah." So, yeah, I won't mention where those guys are now and what they're up to, but I assume they're still doing the same thing. So anyway, yeah, that's it, Solly. Thanks again for your list of questions, and you've put that is in the number 2. Yeah, follow-up, Q&A follow-up number 2, essay selection. That isn't really on selection, but I suppose, maybe I need to change the thumbnail or something to some of these, but I'll just keep it the same, and it's all sort of in the same sort of context anyway. So yeah, from PNG'd, maybe I am PNG'd, Solly, I don't know. We'll see how things go. Like, maybe there's another reunion, and if I go to register like I did for the last one, everything was approved. Maybe I do show up at another reunion one day, or at a reunion one day, because I haven't shown up to one yet. And maybe when I get there, they go, "Actually, no, you can't." Or maybe they tell me beforehand and go, "Actually, no, bro, you're banned." If that happens, hey, it happens. So until then, we'll see you on the next video.